Good evening and welcome to Boston. This is Kimberly Sellars Bates, founder and president of KSTB Enterprises. I come to you each Thursday at 7 p.m. for 10 minutes with 10 business tips. I'd love to hear from you. Please contact me at kbates@kstbenterprises.com or 770-756-7565. You know, every day my office receives emails, texts, and phone calls from people. They want to pick my brain and find out how I got to where I am today. Boston is the quickest way for me to answer that question. I continue to tell people over and over again that working for myself has been one of the best decisions I've ever made. You see, home-based businesses are quickly becoming the fastest growing form of business startups. When I first started KSTB Enterprises, I worked from my kitchen table. Well, I quickly outgrew that and moved to one of the spare bedrooms in the house. I love it because I've been able to design my office exactly how I want it. My office at home is both productive and comfortable. There are several other benefits to having your own business and starting a home-based business. Those items include setting your own schedule, working with a variety of clients, and customizing your work hours to meet the needs of both personal and family life. I initially set up the space in my office where my children could watch TV, they could read, they could take naps while I worked. That was a win-win situation. Of course, they're grown now and take any opportunity not to visit me in my home office. Seriously, creating your own hours allows you to play to your strengths. Some people are productive in early mornings, while others may work best late at night. I tend to do my best work early in the mornings. You know, working a 9-to-5 job really can take so much time away from your children or whatever personal goals you may have. If you're stuck in a traditional office setting, you may find yourself having to make difficult choices about when and how often to ask for time off for personal or family events. If you feel like your job is taking up too much of your time, having your own business could be the solution. By working for myself, I was always the homeroom mom. I was team mom. I attended most, if not all, of my children's events. And as an added bonus, I was able to increase my other volunteer efforts in the community. Starting KSTB gave me the opportunity to make money while doing something that I absolutely love. It was easy for me to realize what my passion was. The challenging part was figuring out how to turn my passion into a profit. See, what I do doesn't even seem like work to me. I'm able to identify and secure funding from individuals, grants, and corporations to ensure that my clients are able to serve the community. Remember that you are more likely to achieve success as a business owner if you focus on pursuing your passion over profit when starting your business. I was actually working full-time for someone else when people started hearing that I secured nonprofit status and could get grants. Pretty soon, I was working a job during the day and staying up all night working my side hustle. My husband encouraged me to stop burning the candle at both ends and go ahead and try working for myself. Now, let's be realistic. Not everyone can quit their day job and start their own business, and that's okay. I'm going to give you 10 tips to start, grow, and sustain your business while you're working for someone else. I want you to set your calendar for 1 year from now. It's my hope that by then you will be positioned to make an informed decision about whether or not to leave your full-time job. Now, these are the 10 steps that I took. First, I want you to get a notebook and make some tabs. Know that you think that you'll remember all of your ideas, but trust me, you won't. And although some of your ideas may not be feasible right now, it may be next year. But by then, you will more than likely have forgotten what the idea was. I suggest making the following tabs. First tab, why? Second tab, name. That's where you will put your notes about your suggested business names. Next tab, ideas, goals, Next, finances and accounting, a tab for your schedule, your contacts, a tab for potential clients, a tab for staff, a tab for volunteers, and a tab for influential people, which includes politicians, NPU meetings, homeowner association contacts. I also want you to do a tab for a calendar for marketing, which will include your social media, your website, your email, etc. Now, I don't want you to go out and do a website right now. I also don't want you doing Instagram, Twitter, and what is the other one? Snapchat. The reason is because you have not yet incorporated and you don't want to put the cart before the horse. One of the worst things to do is to debut your social media and your website only to find out that the name is not available. So we want to go ahead and do everything right the first time. We don't want to have to do a relaunch, okay? Now, one more point about the notebook. I know most of you do your things on your phones, and that's fine. It just worked better for me using a notebook. And I can actually go back to my notebook from 2007 and see what my ideas were back then. So I have all of those notebooks on my bookshelf. And it's really quite interesting to look at what I was thinking several years ago. The second tip, decide what you're good at and what you want to do. What are your business ideas? List them all out. What are you naturally good at? Some people already have several ideas about what business they want, while others may still be wondering. One more thing to think about with tip number 2, which one can bring you the most revenue? Tip number 3, will this business fulfill you? Make sure your business is something that you're passionate about and committed to making succeed. Again, if you enjoy what you do, it won't seem so much like work. The fourth tip, is there a need for what you want to do? Take the time to research this. There are a lot of people who wrote grants. So I had to figure out what made my business unique. I had to put a unique spin on it. So I want you to do the same thing. Really think about this. What makes your business unique? The fifth tip, and probably the most important, is remember where your bread and butter comes from. Listen, make sure that you continue to do your job with the same vigor and commitment as always. If you're starting a business that mirrors the one that you already work for, be sure to review the conflict of interest policy and adhere to it. Again, this is where your bread and butter comes from. This is also a time for you to be discreet. There's no need for you to tell anyone at your workplace what you're doing. There'll be plenty of time for that. Tip number 6, commit 2 hours each day to working for yourself. I want you to work on 3 things from your list of goals that you will tackle every day. I used to have a to-do list that had about 20 tasks on it for each day. It was unrealistic, and I actually found myself being frustrated and anxious. I finally learned that if I list small tasks on my to-do list, then start to tackle them in that order, the list started to shrink. I found myself being much more productive, and then I felt like I was actually accomplishing something. So you can make a big list. The big list may have a million things on it for your business, but each day I want you to tackle the top 3 things. Number 7, make a schedule and follow it. You will have a number of emails and phone calls that you'll need to make for your business every day. One thing that I did that really helped was I tried to schedule my lunch hour in off times. I took lunch from 12:30 to 1:30. I would eat for the first 30 minutes and return calls and emails from 1 to 1:30. Most people were back from lunch by then, so I was productive in handling some of the business emails and calls. Under no circumstances should you send emails, faxes, or make phone calls using your current company's equipment. Tip number 8, the weekend or whatever day your off day is, that is considered a full-time work day for your own business. Number 9, rest. I never bought into that adage that you have to work until you're exhausted. I can't operate at maximum capacity if I'm tired, and 9 times out of 10, neither can you. Remember, rest is important. It gives your brain time to rejuvenate. It gives your body time to rejuvenate. And with rest, I want you to try to get in some exercise as well. Walking helps me clear my mind, but there are other forms that you may use. So remember to rest and get some exercise. And finally, the 10th tip, remember your why. Taking the leap into entrepreneurship is certainly not for the faint-hearted. I still struggle sometimes, and so do many of my fellow business owners. There'll always be days when you feel frustrated, angry, and even defeated. It's on those days that you need to remember your why. You need to dig into your notebook and look at that first why tab, because it will take every ounce of motivation that you have to keep going. This will remind you of the motivation you had when you first came up with starting a business for yourself. I hope you've enjoyed the 10 tips. I hope you adhere to them. I will from time to time remind you about these 10 tips. I want to thank you for tuning into Boston and spending your precious time with me. We all know that life is precious, time is precious, so we need to make every second count. Just want to remind you of one more thing. Remember that procrastination is a slippery slope. Now is the time to make your dreams become reality. Please contact me at kbates@kstbenterprises.com or 770-756-7565. Hey, I'll talk to you guys next week. Take care. Bye.